Hi there, paint friends. We are going to paint some patterns on a board today. You can do this for painting stripes. You can make gingham, which is kind of what I'm going to do today. Some people might call that plaid. You can do different colors. I'm going to show you two different colorways today, but this works with pretty much any color that you like. I started with a white board. I have painted the edges and the top of this board with 2 coats of just white paint. My next step was to add stripes of painter's tape. So I just started in the middle of mine and I eyeballed this. You definitely can measure this with a ruler. You can measure it out by using a small piece of your painter's tape. Get your first stripe on where you want, put your little markers, and then lay your next, move your markers, lay your next. You can do it that way. I really did just eyeball this. I wanted my top and bottom stripe to be the same color, and I know that they're skinnier, but the measurements of this board, I would have had a darker and a lighter stripe top and bottom. So I just split the difference. You can literally put it however you want, but I got my painter's tape on here in my stripes. My next step would be then to paint the white with my color. I have one of those done already just because I wanted it to be dry so we could move on. So my second board was exactly this. And I painted it blue and I removed the painter's tape from where the white stripes are. So we're gonna move on with the next step for this. And for just time's sake, I'm gonna do a section of the board instead of the whole thing. But I am gonna just start on the edge. That is the easy way to do it if your board is the right size, or if you don't really care how your stripes end up, it's really is entirely up to you. This is what I was meaning about your markers. You can just put 2 like so, put your next stripe right up against that, and then move your tape, stripe tape. I'm gonna eyeball this just for time sake. You can, like I said, do this for whatever way you want. I mean, you could put these on diagonally if you would like. So I'm just gonna do about half the board here just to give you an idea of how this goes. Okay, so my board is prepped for my second set of stripes, my vertical ones. And I'm gonna show you what I did with my paint. My initial set of stripes was actually my blue color, but mixed with white. I wanted it to be a little lighter, and I'll explain why once we get this going. This, my original color, is only gonna be used for the squares where the stripes overlap each other. Okay, so I've mixed up my blue. I'm going to just put it on here on these vertical stripes. This color is great for, I think, spring or even winter. This blue would be pretty. You could do this with some bright colors for a summer background. This would be really pretty with just some very pale neutrals. Okay, so it might not look very dark in the video, but let me just pull this up real quick and you can see. There, you can see. Now, my stripe that was already dried is a little wee bit darker, and I kind of like it when the 2 sets of stripes are different colors. I'm gonna turn on the heat gun and dry this up here just a little bit. I think you can hear me talk over that. Doing two pale shades is best because we're going to put some painter's tape back on our originals, and then we're going to color our squares. Okay, so I'm just going to try this just a little bit. You would do the exact same thing with the entire board, but this will give us a good idea of the process. Okay. All right. So we are leaving this painter's tape on here, and I'm going to reapply tape where my initial horizontal stripe was. You can see the difference between where I painted the first blue stripe and where it was covered. So I'm just going to cover that back up. And it doesn't have to be perfect. I actually like it when they're a little bit wonky. It definitely gives that hand-painted look without the anxiety of getting them straight. So just get that back on there, and one more up here. I'm a close enough girl. So, okay, so I know they don't look quite square. It's because my blue paint is on there. So we have our original horizontal stripes. We have the vertical stripes that we just painted. Now, what's left in between is going to be where your lines cross over each other. That is why I have this little bit darker shade. And you will see here when we're done how that's gonna look. So all I'm gonna do is just quickly go over all of those places where they cross over each other. So this is the original stripe in both directions, getting the darker shade. I'm gonna show you an example here in a minute of using gray to do this. Okay, make sure I got them all. Okay, so now I'm going to pull off our stripes. This is a really super easy process. It's just a little wee bit of time going with your tape. Pretty cool, huh? So the ones that got painted several times are darker. Then you've got your lighter shades. I think it would be fun to do multiple colors. Like, oh, imagine for Easter if you had a pink, a yellow, a purple, a blue, and just repeated that and then did the same thing the other direction. You wouldn't have to probably do your squares with a darker shade, because when those two different colors overlap, you would end up with definitely something different, okay? So there is an example using pale blue with a little darker blue for your squares. And there's the same thing doing gray. So this process, exactly the same. I made my horizontal stripes, painted this gray in between, dried, took them off, put on my vertical stripes, painted them, dried, leave them there, put my horizontal stripes back on. That's the key. You have to take off your first set of stripes to paint the second one, and then you replace those for your squares in between. You get that darker shade. I think this is a really fun way to have a background, and you can use it with any color, with a lot of cool projects. I hope you give this a try. Thanks.